Enshrouded's new Way of the Water update is the biggest update by far since the game's early access release. They've added so much stuff to this game, it's literally insane. And I'm going to break it all down for you because it can be a little confusing since, again, there's so much added. They've added a lot of things, specifically water mechanics for things like swimming, grappling underwater, and I'll show you how to get started and get the right skills set up. Not to mention, the game is absolutely gorgeous. A lot of the overhaul they did with the water and some of the graphical upgrades took this game and made it into a literal masterpiece. Let's go. Now, the first thing I want to do is go over really how to start unlocking a lot of this new stuff. So basically, once you've progressed far enough, you can actually go to this ancient spire in the Nomad Highlands and then glide just over here to the Vale Water Basin Outlook. You'll go through a cave right here, come out on this side, and you'll have access to the Vale Water area where you can begin starting your quest lines, which again introduce you to fishing and all the brand new mechanics and things like that. However, once you make your way to the Vale Water area and make it to River Reach, you'll basically need to do some quests here to unlock things like your mill and other equipment, and then you can actually visit the Old Captain's Rest. Now, once you go here, right here on the dock, you can interact, and this will actually grab you the fisher, who is your vendor that you'll be able to craft stuff with that you can put in your town. And this quest line, as you go through it, will unlock this excellent fishing rod. And as you continue the quest line, unlock more things like resources and baits that are going to be way better to use than lower level baits for finding those super good fish. Again, these first initial quest lines you find in this River Reach and starter area, I recommend you knock out so you can unlock the mill, the recipes, and other equipment, and again, the fisher that you're going to need. I won't take you through the entire rest of the area because that's really for you to explore. Now I'll show you some of the cool things that were added and some things to avoid because some of these things I struggled with early on. The first is fishing. So I highly recommend once you reach River Reach, you clear out Dragon Dream Lake, and then you immediately come over here to the Ancient Spire and grab this spire. This is going to be a perfect teleport point for being able to access all of the brand new content super easily without having to do a ton of running. So make sure you grab this. You can immediately come over to Fishing Island, grab some frogs here, and then you can actually come back and turn that quest into him. He will then actually have you craft this excellent fishing rod, which will take some basic resources, keeping in mind the gold dust, which you'll actually again have to unlock the mill. And once you do that, you'll unlock some basic recipes for it. Keep in mind, you can find gold, which you can turn into dust at the mill, and a couple places by mining underwater in the new area. You also need tropical wood, which again, you'll just get by chopping trees down in the new area as well. Specifically not the palm trees. If you're finding palm trees, get off the beach, go into the more jungly area, you'll find tropical wood, no problem. Keep in mind at any point you can do manual crafting and craft the simple fishing rod. Harder fish, however, will be much harder to catch and require specifically more fishing endurance and strength, which I'll show you here in a minute, which is why you want to get this excellent fishing rod as quickly as possible because you get more fishing strength and endurance, making fishing a lot easier. Finally, to unlock the baits from the fisher, keep in mind there's common, uncommon, rare, and epic, which help you catch higher levels of fish depending on the bait level. In order to do this, you need to catch an epic fish. So what we'll do is come back to Fishing Island, just go to the pier, and there should probably be a little spot there that's bubbling with fish, and you can cast directly into that. And that's where it got a little confusing for me. Keep in mind, if you're using a worse off fishing rod, this is a little bit harder by default. But basically the way the mechanic works is you cast out into the puddle, you get a notification to click once you're ready to start reeling in a fish. Don't make it complicated, it's as simple as this. If the fish swims right, you pull your fishing rod to the left. And what you should do is anticipate when the fish is about to then come back to the left, and then you pull your fishing rod to the right. So whichever way the fish swims, you pull your rod the opposite way. And each one of those red bars will continue to go down as you're counteracting the fish, with your fishing rod essentially wearing it out. For each bar, you'll get an animation to reel in the fish again, and once you complete all the bars, you will successfully catch the fish. The important thing is the green bar on the left is your fishing endurance bar, which is your stamina for fishing. If it runs all the way down to 0, then the line will break and the fish will escape. This is why lower level fish will have maybe like 3 total bars you have to complete, which are way easier, and other fish will have maybe 8 or 9 bars, which are a lot harder and can bring you right down to the end of that endurance meter. If you have a worse off fishing rod, it can easily be the difference. You can use a bunch of different bait. At the fishing island, you can find frogs, which you can use as bait there for catching better fish. You can also use things like fireflies as bait and other bugs, so things like moths or things like the pill bug, you can just straight up use for bait. As you can see, the frog is level 40 and helpful for catching epic fish. And the lower level bugs, so this would be 30, the moth would be 20, and the firefly would be level 10. So using frogs early on is going to help you catch that epic fish way faster. Now, once you catch your first epic fish, you should come notify the fisher. This will complete the quest and unlock baits for you. The cool thing about baits is you get 10 baits for basically having 1 frog. So making sure every once in a while you just stack up on frogs when you find them You can use gold coins, fish teeth, and capybara bristles to easily make tons of bait. You can see here I just made 50. And if you haven't unlocked the fish teeth yet, which you'll need for bait, I believe it's the yellowfin fish, you actually have to catch one of those and then come here and use that specific fish to craft the fish teeth. You can see we use the thorn ridge for the fish bones, and the yellowfin will be for the fish teeth. So look for that one. Make sure you save it because you're going to be using it to make tons of bait. And as far as the capybara bristles, you can actually get those as well by coming to the fishing island and going to this area just north of it, where you can find a bunch of capybara. All you have to do is kill 1 or 2 of them, grab their bristles, and you have plenty. One thing you should actually do though is actually come and talk to the farmer, and here you can make capybara bait just like you can any other regular animal bait. Here you can use this bait to essentially tame one of the capybara that you find, and if you're able to tame it and grab it, then you can basically put it at your home. Just like any other animal, you can throw down the appropriate bed. That way it's sheltered so it has a place to sleep. And then also throw down one of these capybara feeders. Here you can actually inspect and you can add capybara food to keep this as well as feeding all your other animals. As long as your capybaras stay rested under shelter and fed well, during nighttime cycles, they can actually make babies and make even more capybaras. So eventually you could have like 100 of these things walking around, which is pretty cool. And over time, instead of having to hunt down capybaras, now you can just actually harvest them every once in a while by walking up to them, grabbing some of their bristles for free that will replenish every so often. During the initial questline, you should eventually unlock the seafood grill. Now here you can turn crab meat from the new areas into big health buffs, but you can also cook different kinds of fish. The fish will actually give you extra health as well as extra max oxygen. And basically this plus 12 max oxygen means with your regular oxygen level, you can hold your breath for 30 seconds. If you get a plus 12 buff, that would take your buff to 42 seconds of oxygen, which is a lot longer you can stay underwater. If you actually visit the farmer, you can also make things like crab cakes, which again give you other additional benefits. And there are a lot of other extra consumables that can be made, also specifically tomato fish soup. If you make this, you get plus 30 health and 20 to max oxygen. In my opinion, it's the best early on max oxygen buff you can get, and it's an uncommon recipe. So you can get 35 minutes of 50 seconds of oxygen just by making and eating a tomato fish soup. This makes swimming super easy, so you should make a bunch of these early. Now there's brand new power equipment added and tons of things you can do with water and make literally so much stuff, from an entire swimming pool to an entire irrigation system, infinite power farming, all with this basic simple trick. So some of the new things that were added specifically are these water dispensers. Now, basically the way this works is when you put it somewhere, it will just endlessly shoot out water. Keep in mind the trick with this is it will shoot out water permanently until it is fully submerged. So if this thing is never submerged, it will continue to run. Let's say we put this thing up here like we did this one, but we didn't really pay attention to how we build it. This thing would run and run and run and could basically just flood our entire village. So before we talk about the power, one thing you want to make sure is if you're using one of these, that you put it at a water level that eventually it will be submerged and stop putting out water, or you need to put at least 1 or 2 different water drains. There's a wall water drain and a floor water drain. It doesn't look like it, but this water is actually getting drained out this drain in the back, and literally it just vanishes when it goes in there. So make sure you have one so you don't flood your entire farm. But again, if you build a little pool somewhere, you can build it out of brick. And then inside the enclosed area, you just put one of these water dispensers. You can basically have it fill up like a pool from the inside and then grab water whenever you need. Because the dispenser will get submerged under the water before it overflows, like out of this kind of little pond area, it will never overflow that way. Now, one thing specific you can do like I did here to create infinite water, and basically another thing we did is create an irrigation system. You can see we built a trench that basically goes all the way down. It goes to our crops and everything else. Basically, you can build a little square area like this, just up in the air. You can put a water dispenser right there. This water will actually run right down off of this ledge, and then you can build another little square area down here. This one is for filling up our pond for our irrigation, and even though this one's running over right now because I need to fix the floor drain, once this is built down here, you basically want the water to all contain and fall in here and then go out the floor drain so it doesn't overflow. Then once you put a wheel right here, that wheel will turn because of the water pressure and give you instant power, meaning if you put other things around this, you can get free power from the water itself. Now, you don't have to power stuff this way, but again, it's cool and you can definitely power a lot of stuff really easily by just building a few of these and then putting stuff around it. Now, again, for watering your plants or filling different areas, and you can do this in sections if you want, I would recommend building blocks around the edge of this and clear out some of the kind of grass. So this is kind of a loose interpretation here, but this irrigation gate will allow you to basically control water, open it up, let water out, and then close it and keep water in. And one good thing is once you build this pond, it can basically stay at the same water level because of the dispenser. So if you ever need, you can fill up water in your portable water containers, fill up barrels, and then easily drink from them whenever you need to make sure you stay hydrated. Super easy. Now, one new addition also is the portable water pump. You can easily build this portable water pump and find any water source at all, and then hold the button and you can fill up this portable water pump with a ton of water super easy. Literally one thing of this water filled up fills about 3 barrels of water, so you can fill this up and take it to basically use for whatever you need. And again, with how much water it carries, it's super useful. So whether you're trying to fill up a pool or use the water for anything else, it's super helpful. But the dispensers for filling up enclosed areas full of water can basically make you infinite pools of water super easy. And also something that's important is related to swimming, and it's 2 tools in specific. The mining sieve, which when crafted is actually used to mine gold and other materials, specifically underwater, meaning whether it's a luminous growth or it's gold or anything under the water, you can swim underneath the water and mine using the mining sieve. It's super useful, and as long as you're using and getting swimming buffs from things like, again, the tomato fish soup, allowing you to get maximum extra oxygen, you can stay underwater for long periods of time and mine tons of gold and other resources very easily. Also, the carpenter will allow you to now make the underwater grappling hook. You can see it requires a decent amount of stuff here. Again, gold dust, which you can make at the mill, because believe it or not, there are some serious underwater traps, just given for one instance at the spire, where there's like these spinning blades underwater and things like that, and they can easily take you out if you don't have something like the underwater grappling hook or this skill that I'm about to show you, which is a new addition, and it's called the splash dash. Now, if you're a wizard and you don't have anything spec'd over here, that's fine. But if you're a warrior, you have to make sure you grab this because it allows you to evasive dash while swimming or diving. And it's specifically good, again, for 2 reasons: to avoid the traps way easier. This allows you to dash quickly past the traps, but it also allows you to dash away and past certain enemies, because different areas will have enemies underwater and they can basically just shoot stuff at you under the water and sometimes basically swim faster than you. If you have the splash dash, you can actually perform these dashes away from the enemies while you're in the water, and you can get away from them and buy traps way easier. Some updates were made to storage, so some things that would normally stack in 20 actually stack in 250 now. So one thing you should do when you load your game up is you should immediately go into your storage chest and then hit the button to sort, and it will actually sort now into these bigger stacks. Like you can see here, it combined all these 10 bars, the wood acid into 250 stacks. Trust me, this is going to save you an immense amount of storage space, and is one of the biggest upgrades. That's just quality of life. It's also fun to play because in this update, they introduced great swords specifically. And the great swords, after I've used them and used a couple of the legendary ones at max level, they are super OP, and I'm thinking about releasing a build for them because they're that good. Specifically, the horned greatsword that I've been using is like insane. Not only upgraded to max level 50 out of 50, it does a ton of cutting and piercing damage, but you get extra piercing damage, you get extra retaliation, which means we basically deal damage back to people that they deal to us. We get extra crit strike chance, we get stamina leech, so we never run out of stamina, and a ton of damage. The 3 skills I notice all the time with this that make really any great sword build gonna be super fun is heavy specialization, so you attack faster with 2-handed weapons. This node right here, Titan Edge, for extra great sword damage. Again, this is the great sword sort of buff node, and Whirlwind Crescendo. Those 3 make this build super fun. The reason being, first of all, to get Titan's Edge, you actually need to unlock piercing or blunt damage. You can take piercing damage here, as well as the melee cutting damage here, specifically because the Horned Greatsword does cutting damage as its main damage type, but you can see the extra damage we get from our extra levels on the weapon for piercing damage give us a bunch of additional damage for free. And with those extra piercing upgrades in the skill tree, we get even more damage, so you get the best of both worlds for having to take this as well. And then again, the Whirlwind Crescendo skill, which when you complete an attack chain with your 2-handed sword, meaning when you complete your attack chain, so 1, 2, 3, and then the 4th attack with your great sword, you're going to do that Whirlwind Crescendo and basically smack everybody around you with tons of damage. Trust me, the great swords, you got to experiment with them. They are super fun. You can see I'm wearing a full Sunpiercer set. That's basically one of the new melee sets, and this will now be on gear, is wet duration reduction. Now, this is important to keep in mind because just like you have your other buffs for sheltered, warmth, and comfort up in the top left of the map, which affect things like stamina, if you actually look at your portable water pump, it shows you here that if you're wet, it reduces your stamina and stamina regeneration by 30% for 15 minutes. In order to get rid of that, warmth will actually reduce the remaining duration that you have. So by getting in water and becoming wet or being out in the rain, you get this stamina and stamina regen pretty big debuff. And if you're swimming a lot and you're soaked, this actually reduces your stamina by 30% for 30 seconds. And it will actually reduce your ice and shock resistances, but increase your fire resistance by 30%. Keep in mind here, soaked can actually be applied to enemies, which is a big thing. And if you're soaked, the duration cannot be reduced by warmth. Keep in mind, once soaked is over, it actually transforms into wet. But the cool thing here is you can use water balloons. Yes, you can make water balloons now. So keep in mind, you can soak debuff enemies, and you can also use this to soak debuff the enemies as well. So if you see an enemy, you can simply just walk up with your portable water pump and soak them and basically drown them right in front of you. And then once you feel like you've soaked them well enough, you can go in with your ice and lightning attacks. I covered a lot of the things that are going to really help you get started on the right track. If you haven't played the game or even love it and want to play with a friend, make sure you check down in the description and check out the game, or try it if you haven't. So make sure you check that out down in the description. And folks at Enshrouded, thanks for sponsoring today's video. Peace.